Hey, thanks for tuning in to our 7 Super Tips series. I'm #1 best-selling author and motivational speaker, Equalman. Most of you know me as Equalman. And on today's episode, we have a great photographer, and most importantly, a great entrepreneur in Chase Jarvis. And as you know, on the 7 Super Tips series, all we're doing is allowing the best and the brightest to give you 7 super tips on how to lead a happier life, healthier life, be more successful as a business person. In sum, we're unlocking and unleashing your inner superpower. So please enjoy today's guest, Chase Jarvis.
You're a freshman, right? You don't know what to do. That literally, if you're a freshman at Oregon State, University of Oregon, like your job in life right now is to discover what you want to do. And you went to college. See, this is a problem. You went to college just without knowing what you want to do. The reason that you are there, if what you say is true that you don't know what to do, is literally to explore. So what you should be doing is you should be devouring all kinds of stuff that interests you. Do not just listen to your parents. And if your mom is like listening to this, or you could say, hey mom, I was on this show. Mom, earmuffs for a second, because I'm talking to you, David. So ignore your parents, ignore pop culture, think about what's in here and what do you want to do. Take classes in the stuff that you have. If you have a belief that you might be interested in it, take that class. I don't think you should be on the mission critical 4-year graduation path if you have no idea what you want to do. You should be using your time at school, both in the class experience and outside, to experiment. Because here's what it is. The risks right now, basically zero or super low. You don't have overhead. Clearly you're at school, so you're at school without a decision on a major, so you're there to experiment. You don't have overhead, you don't have bills, to speak of. You don't have a wife and kids, or maybe you do. I'm making some assumptions as a freshman in college. You wouldn't have those things. So your goal in life is to experiment right now. You have to take risks. Right now, you could go 3 years down the terrible, the wrong rabbit hole. And when you pop up and you realize, shit, that was the wrong decision. You're what? You're 21? I don't even, that is a huge opportunity right now. This is the time of life to take risks. So risk number 1 is, while you're wasting your parents' money at school without knowing what to do, experiment like hell. You have to have some understanding you have to have some self-awareness that you want to do something. And when I hear a little bit of this in your voice, that you actually know what you want to do, but you think that someone's not going to approve, whether it's a parent, a grandparent, a friend. Did you hear a little bit of that in there? There's a little bit like, I just don't know what to do. You do. What I think is that you don't know if it's socially acceptable. So this is the time where the price for not doing what you want to do in life is so much greater than pushing through the noise or the challenges. Because A, life fulfillment, B, if you do, burn 3 or 4 years right now and it's the wrong thing, it's fine. But God, don't do something you're not put on this earth to do. Do the best you can, find something, experiment. The question is essentially, should I stay a solopreneur? He's a photographer, if I'm understanding you're a photographer, and should I build a team or stay solo? Well, first and foremost, you should do what your business can support. I think that's a really important lesson. I've seen people overinvest in gear, overinvest in staff, overinvest in just overhead. Like they want to get a big studio, they want to do all this stuff way before they have any clients, way before they have the pressures to perform under, and deliver more volume, for example. So I also heard in there that have skills managing people. That is an entire skill set unto itself. If you're worried about photography, management is then you're just doubling your worries. So this is a really straightforward answer. You need to have a business that's so successful that you need additional people in order to help you do the work. There's also something I believe, yes, I'd like you to outsource your weaknesses. I would like you to outsource weaknesses like accounting, for example. I think you should be able to balance a checkbook, but doing your taxes, for example, just paying somebody a couple $100. I don't know what it is in India, but in the US, for a few $100, you can have someone else do your taxes. To me, that's a great use of time. But everything else, you should try and understand first by doing what your strengths and weaknesses are, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, just specifically around your craft and the billing enough to get paid to do what you're doing. And I think that's a great guideline for all of the other stuff. If you do that with respect to the business, and then you're thinking about, well, should I hire somebody? Why do you want to hire somebody? Why? That's my question back to you. And if the answer, I'm going to make an assumption that you look on the internet and you see other people and they've got full teams, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people involved in making this video right now, and you see that on the internet, you think that that's required to do the job. I made videos like this, first of all with 0 people, then with 1 person, and then just over time we added people as we had A, the revenue to support it, and B, the volume that we were doing supported having enough people, which supported, or the revenue supported the people, supported the volume. So it's really important that you don't overextend yourself. To me, that's one of the number 1 things that creatives do wrong, is they extend themselves too soon. You need to be so busy that you're like, I can't actually get all this stuff done without bringing somebody on to help. And realizing that when you do that, it's very difficult to then run the business and manage someone. And at first it's like, oh, I'm just going to have an assistant and I'm going to tell them what to do. Well, that's not really a career aspiration for them. That's a very short-term one. So if I'm going to be prescriptive, it's don't hire someone until you actually need it, and be under duress and pain for a while before you hire somebody, because that ensures that this is a sustained thing. It's not just a temporary blip. Can you use contractors? Can you use something else that's not building a team, but building a team of freelancers, not full-time work? To me, that's a great solution to get you through that hard hump where you're trying to figure out how much it costs. And you can do that with contractors on a really, basically, simple basis. You can test that for a while, and then the expectations are set on the other side of the table as well. Your contractors, they don't expect to be hired full-time.
Is like, say you're starting out or mid-career, like how do you process or deal with those inherent feelings of jealousy when you look at your peers that inherently kind of creep in? Like, how do you process that?
Oh, all right. Well, you're right in the fact that you're not alone in this feeling. I hate this feeling. If I could do anything to make it go away, I would. I'll say, but I'm going to give you a couple different thoughts around it, and you'll have to sort of make an answer that suits you and your personality type. But for me, you have to first remember that what you're seeing in other people's worlds is, if you're tracking them via social, probably, and maybe there are some physical people that you get together with every once in a while. But anytime you can take those feelings of jealousy or anger or frustration and channel them into joy, it's like, it has to do with attitude. It's like, how are you feeling about yourself? That's why self-love, self-care, taking care of yourself, feeling like strength and positivity, there's a whole set of mental health exercises that I feel like everyone should take into account, and that's why I prescribe things like meditation and getting exercise and eating well, because when you're on that train, it gives you a lot more confidence and to be able to celebrate success in anybody. If there's this constant jealousy, which, hey, it's a reality because we're competing. There's only so much work out there, and there's more people than work, which that you could call that into question, but. I understand where it comes from. So my first order of prescription is take care of yourself, and if you can, just in your own psychology, be in a positive state such that you can find joy and success for others in their success. I think there's a byproduct if you can channel that, which is it will in turn signal confidence, A, to yourself and B, to other people, if you can enjoy the successes of others, especially really overtly. Just like, man, that's so cool. You know, ask questions, learn something from the success of others. That's especially in this sort of face-to-face environment. And then there's the social one where maybe you're looking at someone who you respect or admire their work, you're seeing it on social, and it's just like they're going all over the place, killing it with their work. And you can for a second realize that how do you look at your social feed? You curate the hell out of that. And you're only putting, or by and large, people generally put forward things that paint them in a very positive light. So what you're doing and what culture does at large, which I hate, is you're comparing your real life day to day, because you know that you missed your rent payment, and you know that your friend's pissed, and you know that you broke your camera, but if you take a picture that shows shiny happy you and you put it on your Instagram feed with the most cool job you've ever had, that the world is not seeing the things that you're struggling with. So you need to remember at all times, and I realize this is hard, but you asked how to get through it. I didn't say it was going to be easy, but that your real life, do not compare real life with other people's highlight reel, because that's what social feeds are. It's other people's highlight reel. And if you can get that into your psychology, then it allows you to go back to point one that I meant, which is be super happy and excited about other people's success. Let's say you're following somebody on Instagram, and when you finally meet them at a trade show or whatever, you see them at a local artist meetup, you can say, oh my God, I saw that you're killing it with XYZ. That's so cool. I'm really stoked for you. Then like that person is like, oh my God, this person is not jealous and shoegazing. They're pumped for me, which is going to give that person confidence. And you're also going to be seen as a beacon of light and enthusiasm for the industry and for other people, which all that karma, that adds up over time. And people want to work with, they want to be around people who are positive. You have to be, like, if you're an artist and you're a shithead to work with, I don't care if you're the most talented person in the world, you're not going to get calls, because it's, I don't know, you mentioned that you're a podcaster. Someone's going to sit with you for an hour or 2 hours, and if you're a real dick, then they don't enjoy sitting with you. So how can you project the positivity even in a world where you might be feeling jealous? To me, when you do these exercises that I'm suggesting, it's gonna flip a switch in you, and you're gonna feel positive. It's gonna inspire confidence in your own work, and then other people are gonna see that and draft off it, and then you can become a leader rather than one of those shoegazing, pissed off followers, because there's nothing worse. I think what people don't realize is the level of performer that a lot of people watch and point at as aspirational. I want to do that. I think that fewer than 1% of the people actually even understand what that level takes. But I can see so many people who have one belief, or they see something on TV, whether it's the hustle life or the leisure life, and they think that that's somehow something that they have to craft themselves into being. And I'm worried. I feel like people at home, they see one lifestyle or one manifestation of it, and it creates, rather than joy and hustle and motivation, it creates anxiety and pain and like, oh my God, I'm not this, I'll never be this. How do I network? I put my stuff out there on social media, but no one is engaging. How do I build people into my community? All right, I get a lot of questions. This might be the most popular question, is how do I get people to see my stuff? How do I sort of create community? Here's the no bullshit answer. You have to do the work. Like, creating something and putting it out there. Most people think that that's where the work stops. And if you sit there and it's gonna take off on its own, this little piece of content, and go and make the rounds around the world, and you'll become, people will engage with it. It could be further from the truth. 50% of the work is making the thing and sharing it. That's where it stops. The other 50% is where it starts, and that is, you have to actually do the work. What are you doing to participate in the system? The idea that this thing will get legs on its own is pure fiction. When you sit there and you look at the content that I put out, or any of your other social heroes or people you pay attention to, they've only been able to get that engagement because they have been actively doing that other 50% for like 5 or 10 years. That's the only reason that happens. I can understand why you might have that point of view, like, I'm gonna put it out and then sit back and wait. But I just want to know that the people you're looking for whom that happens, they have already done the work. So that's thing one. Thing two is, like, how do I build community? I'm going to be reasonably prescriptive here, and it's you have to participate in the system. What are you doing? Are you going to conferences? Are you getting together with other people who do and like the same things you do and like? And you're saying right now, oh, it's so expensive. Fine, skip a few meals, work an extra shift, save up some money, and physically go there and connect with other people. Are you going to creative mornings? There's creative mornings gatherings in hundreds of cities around the world. Are you participating online? If you're not physically getting together with people, what are you doing? Are you following the people that you love? Are you commenting on all of their posts? Are you participating in forums and on blog posts, and like, are you commenting? You have to actually be present. So whether it's physical or digital, are you going there and participating in the system? The reason that there is engagement around the people that you follow is because they've been putting that work out and participating in that community, showing up like for years. I don't care if your work is building companies or as a photographer or a filmmaker or a designer, entrepreneur, anything. Like, your name should be synonymous in the circles that you run in with not just putting out great work, but putting out great work and participating, being a part of the community, being active. Here's the straight talk, is it will be very hard for you to make, you talked about you're not in the business of working for free. The reality is that there are so many people who are willing to do it. So what can you do to be different, not just better than the people who are willing for free? What are you going to bring to the table as, well, she's a photojournalist, right? What are you going to bring to the table as a photojournalist that's different, not just better than the next guy or gal who is willing to work for free? How good do you want to be? Do you want to be, because you can make a living and you can decide to work 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week or 50 hours a week, and no judgment. That's a great way to approach it, and you can be happy and healthy and provide for your family and probably create some retirement and all the things that I think that by and large the middle part of the spectrum of people who decide to pursue these professions they want for themselves. But I hear in your question, if you're already working 6 months a year, traveling on the road, you talked about giving 100%, I think you actually want more. Now, this is, my point of view is very controversial here. I do not believe that work-life balance exists. I think it's a fiction if you want to be the best, or in the top 135%. It doesn't exist. Now, there are ways to remedy the challenge of not being able to have relationships and making it work. For example, can you find someone with whom you have an amazing connection that loves what you do, and maybe you work together? This is an actual experience of my life. My wife, Kate, was a teacher for a long time, and she left teaching when she burned out to become a producer. Now, a producer and a photographer end up being a really good pair, and we traveled all over the world with her producing the jobs that I was getting. And that was amazing. I mean, we traveled hundreds of thousands of miles for years, per year for years, all over the place, and it was amazing. So without using that specific thing as the example, what's embedded in there is that you find a way to merge your life and your work into one thing. And it's not like you have this thing that you do called work, and then there's this other part of this thing that you have life. That's fine. A lot of people do that, want to come home. And I know an attorney who's not taken work home one day, and he's, I think, 65. Never taken work home. And that is the thing that he wanted for himself. If you want to be the best in the world at the thing, which again, I heard that in there a little bit, I think you're an overachiever, which I'm not necessarily recommending for or against. You need to find a way to combine those things such that you're not compartmentalizing, because there are people for whom being the best in the world at the thing that you want to be best in the world at is literally Casey's nodding his head right there, because he knows there are people out there who are doing, and it's not just working more isn't the only answer, but they're smart and they're working harder, they're outworking you. So in order to combat that, the remedy is, how can you combine your work and your home life?
That's it for today's 7 super tips with the one and only Chase Jarvis, where he helps you unlock and unleash your inner superpower. This is Equalman, reminding all of us, it's not what we take from the world, it's what we leave behind. And that's it for the Focus Project. So make sure you pregame every morning. You'll every moment, not every moment, that'd take forever. Just stop every once in a while and periodically to say, anyways, all right, let's try that again. From the top, 4, 3, I'll do it in Spanish. 4, 3, vámonos.